Welcome to the Get Published podcast, sponsored by Brodie Consulting Group. To get more information about our coaching, publishing, executive ghostwriting, and podcast production services, go to getpublishedpodcast.com. Hello, I am Paul Brodie, and thank you for joining us for another episode of the Get Published podcast, where we help authors get published with a proven system that works. And today, we're being joined by Everold Reid, author of The Reid Method, a blueprint for achieving sales mastery. Everold, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Paul. I like how that sounds, my friend.
Well, we are thrilled to have you. Are you ready to begin?
I am indeed.
All right. Question number one. What is the one piece of advice that you would give to a first-time author who is currently writing their book?
Don't procrastinate. Don't stop. Don't listen to the naysayers and the non-believers. And if you need to hide and to get your stuff done and take some time off, and you might lose one or two friends along the way, but I think you stay the course and you stay focused, because that's one of the challenges I had. Once people found out I was writing a book, there tend to be a lot of distractions. So I think it's the challenge and advice would be to definitely, eliminate all the ceaseless solicitations on your time and stay focused to getting it done. Because once you start and once you get going, you hit a sweet spot, and then you realize, oh my God, I'm writing a really good book here. But a lot of people don't get to that sweet spot and give up.
And what do you feel is the hardest part about getting published?
Well, I think the hardest part is deciding who to use, what way to go, whether you're doing, whether you're going to be self-publishing, hybrid publishing, or whether you're going to be working with a publisher. I struggled with that. And it came down to asking friends and asking people who they've used, what they've done. At one point I thought I was going to self-publish, and I'm glad I didn't, because I'm not sure how that would have turned out. So I think it's making the decision of how to proceed to get your book published and doing the research as to what works best for you.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about marketing. So please share a marketing strategy that you have used in your book launch that has worked well.
I think for me anyways, one of the most effective marketing strategies I used was right from the get-go, when my social media team had, done all the social media marketing, and we were having the actual book launch at the dealership I worked at. And so I'd gone to the owner and said, hey, I worked at a Lexus, or still work at a Lexus dealer in Toronto. And I said to him, how about I launch the book here in the showroom? Because it's like a 600 capacity showroom, and there's like 15, 20 cars in the showroom. So it made for a great atmosphere. And so we got permission to do that, and my team went ahead and did the marketing campaign. And it was amazing, because about 250 people showed up and bought hundreds of books that night. So I thought, basically stepping out of the box a little bit from a marketing perspective, using a nice venue such as an automobile, a premium brand automobile showroom, added a little bit of character. And then from a marketing perspective, I definitely did the grunt work and went around to many Indigo stores and did on-site signings and book sales, set up my sign, my little corner. And, they were very open to doing it, a lot of the Indigo stores. So if you've got a good book, don't be afraid to get out there and, market yourself directly to the stores and directly to the public. And that worked for me well to kickstart the launch of the book.
So was this a launch party? Was it a book signing party? How would you categorize the event that you did at the dealership?
This event was... number one, the venue, and a lot of people knew who I was, where I worked, etc. So it was an opportunity for me to showcase where, a lot of what the book was based on, because a lot of it was automotive based.
Hmm.
And so the venue was kind of fitting to the launch. And because the location was centrally located, people could, from many cities could get there relatively easy. And then we converted the showroom. I actually had my friend who wrote the forward, his wife has a band. She actually brought, three pieces of her band, two or three pieces of her band, and they set up and they had a little corner playing, some nice, entertaining music. We had a little bit of food, and we had so we made an atmosphere out of it, and people loved it and stayed for like 2-3 hours.
Well, I love that you mentioned that too, because really it was a book launch party. It was a book launch celebration. And to me, that's a
Yes.
lot more interesting than just having the sign in. But the nice thing as a side effect, you were also able to sell several hundred books during this event.
Yeah, it was definitely a celebration. There was no doubt about that. It was an event. We made an event out of it. And that was what I wanted. It was full. I wanted to make an impact, and I was surprised by the actual responses that I received, and the support that I received. It was very, very overwhelming, um, surprising, and a lot of people showed up. I mean, people showed up to this book signing that I had no idea who they were, where they came from, but I got to know them. I got to know several people as a result of that, and to expand my network.
Excellent. Well, speaking of books, I'd like to know what is your favorite book and what was the number one thing that you learned from it?
I love As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. The book is only 55 minutes, but I've listened to that book on Audible several times, and it's just amazing to me. And I talk about it a lot in my workshops where I deliver, sales mindset principles and personal development training, as well as in-depth sales training. I think for me, the book um, dives into why it's important for a man to think cleanly, or to have clarity, and to block out the negative thought and the negative influences in your life, and to sharpen your mind. And whatever your mind thinks is kind of what you do. So if it's all negative, that's what is going to resonate. Whereas, what positive thinking and affirmations and actions can do. So I really appreciate that book, and even though it's a very short book, I've read it several times, and time and again, I'll pick up something new.
And for a final question, what is your favorite quote and why?
I think the favorite quote comes from that same book. Men are anxious to improve their circumstances, but are unwilling to improve themselves. They therefore remain bound. So whether you're an author, whether you're an aspiring author, a salesperson, a doctor, whatever, if you're not willing to improve yourself, to undertake personal development as an action, as a goal, as a ritual, you won't get very far. You have to improve yourself constantly to deliver, great work.
Excellent. Well, Everold, I want to thank you for being a guest on the show. What is the best way for people to find you online?
I'm a lot on LinkedIn. My profile, Everold Reid, LinkedIn, or the Reid Method on LinkedIn, and my website is thereidmethod.com. Would love to hear from you and connect with some of your listeners.
Well, Everold, thank you once again for being on the show, and I wish you all the best in your author journey ahead.
You too, my friend. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thanks again for joining us today. To learn more about how you can be featured in our brand new Get Published business book, go to getpublishedpodcast.com.